This is a nervous crowd tonight. They need something really good to happen early in this game. And if they fall behind early, if Aaron Judge punches out his first couple of times up, you're going to hear the anxiety in their voices.
Tom Verducci, working the field for Fox. Hey, you want to say hi to Tom?
Hi, Tom. Miss you, pal.
Yeah, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Great. Appreciate the time.
Hold on, before we dig in, I have to ask him. I have to ask him this question because obviously we have Ken on twice a week, and then this is the second time we've had Tom on that I know.
Second or third, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so when you guys go into the truck, because as Scott knows, and I don't know if Chris, people out there, before you do a show, before you do a game, you go into the truck, right? Mm-hmm. The production truck, and everyone's sitting in there, and you kind of have like a 5 to 10 minute conversation about the open, and then Tom's like, well, I got this great story on Judge, and Ken's like, I got this great story on Ohtani, and then da-da-da. So when you guys go into the truck, who gets first dibs on the story? Is it you or Ken?
I don't think it works that way, AJ. I think what we do is we both send in a boatload of notes, right? And we know like maybe 1% of those things are actually going to get on air. So we just hand in our notes and just wing it as the day goes by. Hopefully they get some stories in, but it's not really a pecking order. What's interesting too is that Kenny obviously is on the Dodgers side, I'm on the Yankee side of this series, but it's not like we're limited to any one of those teams, right? If he's got a good story in the Yankees, go ahead and tell it, and vice versa for me too. So it works really well.
And if you haven't seen it, they both send you notes like it's like half an inch thick, like before every game.
Oh yeah,
literally, like you get so when you walk in, you get like a folder, right? And it was Tyler. Tyler was our girl in the DS, and she just hands you a folder like this, and it's just full. Like this is small, but it's just like of
notes
everybody's notes. Like everybody wants to throw their notes in there, and so it takes like an hour to skim them, and then you're like, oh yeah, there's something good.
I love it. It's important though. I mean, as a play-by-play guy, I know what Tom's bringing to the table, right? If he's working on the field, if there's a relevant time that, might lead into a good nugget that Tom wants to throw in there. So let's get to that right now. I mean, let's just start with, in my mind, the headliner. Do you think Aaron Judge can turn this around really quickly? And is there any similarity to what you're seeing here versus what he did in April, Tom?
Yeah, on both counts too. In April, it really took until May 5th. He actually changed his stance. He moved his feet so that he was more neutral in his setup. He had set up open stance and was just getting wiped out on pitches away. Didn't feel like he could reach them. So he comes in for this game against Detroit, and Tarek Skubal closed up his stance to be not a closed stance, but more neutral with his feet. Hit a home run, and he just went off right away. So I always feel like Aaron, who, yes, he's deep in the mechanical weeds sometimes, but he goes a lot by feel. And he is one hitter, more so than most hitters, who's always one swing away. That's the way I feel about Aaron Judge right now. But he's got a long way to go right now, guys. If you look at his chase rate, it has gone up with each successive series of the postseason, from LDS to LCS and now to World Series. What does that tell me? This slump thing is weighing on him. There's no doubt about it. You saw it in game 2. When I saw him take a 2-0 heater from Yamamoto right down the middle, classic case of a guy who's caught in between. He's looking for things that aren't there. He's late on velocity. He's early on spin. He's definitely chasing outside the strike zone more. His 3 strikeouts in game 2 were all outside of the strike zone. He's only done that 16 times in his career. So there's no doubt. And listening to Aaron after the game, and give him credit, he stands in front of his locker, faces the music, answers the same question over and over and over again. But he must have used the words "got to" about 15 times. I've got to do this. I've got to stop chasing. I've got to pick up my teammates. There's no question he's feeling the responsibility of not just being a great player, but the emotional linchpin of this team. He's their captain. They look for him when times are good, when times are bad. And right now, he's not giving them anything. And you can tell he feels really, really badly about it. And he's going to continue to see spin on top of spin on top of spin. He's not getting 48% fastballs like he did in the regular season. They hit 58 home runs.
You sat down with him for a one-on-one before the series, correct? Where you guys were not even sat down. You were on the field and did kind of like reporting. I mean, just the two of you?
Well, that wasn't me. I did talk to him off camera, but not on the one-on-one camera. That might have been Derek, actually. Might have got a hold of him one-on-one. He's got pretty good access, by the way.
Okay, so
Jeter.
What would you have asked him going into this series, or what did you ask him going into this series? Because just like a new month every time, or even a new week, things reset. I know I didn't do really good in the previous games, but I'm resetting. What did you hear from him before this series started, and has any of it come to fruition in this series so far?
Well, he doesn't give much away. As Anthony Rizzo said, Aaron Judge is a brick wall, right? So my question would be, getting to the World Series, which is what you've always wanted to do, and it's the reason you re-signed with the Yankees. Yeah, that's the stadium and all that, but he wants his legacy to be made in pinstripes, and there's nothing bigger in Aaron Judge's mind, most players' minds, than winning championships for the Yankees. Now he finally gets there, right? He's not a young guy. He's 31, 32 years old. How do you treat this first opportunity in the World Series? We all hear players say, treat it like any other game. Can you really do that? And Aaron will not give anything away. He won't tell you, he's going to try harder or, put in more work before a game. He's going to treat it like another game, but it's clearly not, right? And I think as this thing starts to expand, this slump, and it's not just this year, obviously, it's the whole postseason resume. I don't know if he would admit it, and he did say it's eating at him, but I don't know how much this has bled into his actual work in the batter's box in game time. Can he clear his mind in that batter's box? As Giancarlo Stanton said, when you're going like this, you have to shrink that strike zone to microscopic size. Whatever you think it is, make it so much smaller. Take your walks. At the risk of getting punched out once. That wouldn't be a terrible thing for me to see Aaron Judge get called on a strike three. If it's not a pitch he can hit, if it's a borderline pitch, I'd rather see him do that than trying to hit these sliders that, are a foot and a half off the outside corner.
You've been in a lot of these. You've been in foul territory, not the sideline, foul territory for a lot of these games. How do you think Yankee fans are going to greet him tonight, and how should they greet him?
This is a nervous crowd tonight. Yankee Stadium is a tremendous home field advantage. I think they win like 64, 65% of postseason games at home, World Series games. Average is like 54%. So there's a premium. When you're playing for the Yankees at home, you have a bigger home field advantage. The flip side to that is you're down 2-0. They need something really good to happen early in this game. And if they fall behind early, if Aaron Judge punches out his first couple of times up, you're going to hear the anxiety in their voices. So it can flip to you against you as well. So Judge especially needs something good to happen. They'll be all behind him that first day of the game. There's no question about it, because Yankee fans know they need this guy to be right for this team to win the World Series. They're not winning the World Series unless Aaron Judge gets himself straightened out. They know that. They'll be behind him when this game starts. If it starts to go the other way again, then it's a different story. Then I think you'll hear that anxiety from the Yankee crowd.
Tom, two things. One, old Yankee Stadium seemed way more of an advantage than the new one. I mean, the new one's beautiful. Listen, I played in some playoff games in old Yankee Stadium. Those people were on top of you. They were crazy, and it just seemed like a different vibe. I mean, I know they won in 2009 in the new place, and the new place is unbelievable. But let me tell you, in 2002 or 2003 when we played there and we were with the Twins, I mean, it was like, holy crap, these people are like, I mean, it felt like the upper deck was on your head as you're playing there. So to me, that's changed. But let me ask you this. If, let's say it doesn't go right tonight, right? They fall behind. Buehler pitches well. Schmidt gets banged around a little bit, and they fall behind. Will this crowd just turn? And then how much of this falls on Aaron Boone versus Aaron Judge, one of the Aarons, right? Both of them are awesome guys. But how much heat is Booney going to take if they don't win this? Because people are already talking about like, oh, man, he's on the hot seat. Why? This guy wins every year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the crowd will turn a little bit, especially if they don't play a clean game. And let's face it, the Yankees, their path to victory to me is through power. They make a lot of mistakes on the bases. They make a lot of mistakes defensively. You saw that in game one. There was at least 3 or 4 mistakes that were made in the course of that game that cost them. Every 90 feet in the postseason can be a difference maker. You saw that in game one. They tend to overcome their mistakes with home runs, but when they don't, they look bad. And if the Yankees look bad falling behind in game 3, yeah, the crowd is definitely going to let all of them know about that. And yeah, right now they're not in love with Aaron Boone, especially because of the decision in game 1 to put the game in the hands of Nestor Cortez. I didn't have a huge problem with it. I understand that. I actually asked Aaron Boone the day before the series began, because this to me is the biggest thing. When you face the Dodgers, you look at Ohtani and you say, who's going to get Ohtani out late in the game? Every manager has to have that guy. Mike Shildt in San Diego had Tanner Scott. That was obvious. The Mets had nobody to control Ohtani, and that showed up. And I didn't see anybody really who jumped out to me on this Yankee staff other than Weaver. We know you want your closer on anybody. But, he told me he liked Nestor on Ohtani. And I thought about Tim Hill, but he said, Tim Hill's got that two-seamer that runs right into the happy zone of Ohtani. And he's not a swing and miss guy. And the ball's going to be put in play. So he wanted Nestor, I think, in part because Manaea looked a little good against Ohtani, at least the first time he saw him in daytime. Ohtani looked really uncomfortable. So I think he was looking at some of the funkiness of Nestor, and Nestor never got a chance to do anything else in terms of arm angle. One pitch, game over to Freeman. But with Ohtani, I think that to me really concerned me about not having that one guy you really want to match up to, because it starts early. I mean, I'm talking fifth, sixth inning, that second or third jam in a game when, it's not Clark Schmidt's spot to get him a third time. You better get somebody else in there. Who is that guy? So Boone has definitely had some heat. This happens this time of year with all managers. I get it. A lot of people are talking about the lineup. Do you flip-flop Soto and Judge? On paper, to me, that's not really a bad idea. I mean, it makes it harder for Dave Roberts to come in with his right-handed power guys to match up later in the game, just to give a different look to the lineup. I like the idea of protecting of Aaron with Judge with Soto behind him. I don't think he's going to do it, though, because it's probably not the kind of signal that Aaron Boone wants to send to his guys that, we're really in trouble. I have to start messing with my best hitters in the lineup. So I understand that. But you're right. It's a good point. The Yankee fans, if this game is, they're chasing 2 or 3 mid-game, I'm telling you, it's going to be an anxious ballpark.
And what do you think about the starting pitching the next couple days here? Because that was looked at as an edge for the Yankees, and I tried to remind everyone it was looked at as an edge for 1 through 4, right? Clark Schmidt and Luis Hill have good stuff. So do you think that they've got an edge the next couple days versus what you saw from Buehler last time around and the bullpen here coming up?
I think it's probably a wash. You're right about Clark Schmidt, by the way. He's got really good stuff. What the Dodgers have done these first 2 games, they have absolutely destroyed fastballs. And I was talking to Freddie Freeman about this. The Dodgers in the previous 3 postseasons hit 213 against velocity, against fastballs. 213. They changed their approach. Going to the postseason this year, they said, we are going to jump into the high velocity cage. We're going to get on traject and dial it up. We're going to hunt fastballs early in the count, especially guys like Manaea, Rodon, Cole, who are going to use their fastballs up. That allows them to stay off-speed chase, because you're not looking down and away off speed. You're looking up, and if it's not there, you're taking that. So it's actually made them more disciplined. They are not letting fastballs go by. You saw that in game 2. They just walloped Rodon, getting ahead of the count on fastballs. They had 7 hits off fastballs in that game. Schmidt is a different kind of beast. I mean, he's not going to throw anything straight. He's going to be 80% spin. I'm using cutters as spin too. So it's cutters, sliders, sweepers. It's a different game plan they're going to have against Clark Schmidt. They can't just just hunt fastballs. It's just not going to happen. So far, they're slugging 800 on fastballs. They're going to have to find another way tonight. I think he's a tough solve for them. And again, he's not going to be there a third time around. So I think Clark Schmidt will pitch well for 4 or 5 innings. And I'd say the same about Walker Buehler. And you guys have seen Walker. He doesn't have that fastball anymore that he can just blow by people. But he knows how to pitch. He knows how to control the big moments. You saw that against New York, against the Mets in the LCS. What was it, 4 innings? Took him 90-something pitches. But he made every pitch he had to make, including a bases loaded 3-2 curveball to Francisco Lindor. So he's more of a craft guy now than he is a power guy. And he manages big games really, really well. So I think the game will probably play out to be pretty much of a draw through the first 4 and 5. And then it becomes a manager's game. And these are always fascinating, guys. As you know, you get to 3, 4, 5. It's the one time in the series you're playing 3 straight days. And it becomes all about bullpen usage. You've already, shot your number 1 guy, your starting pitcher. You're into the back of your rotation and dipping into your bullpen probably 3 straight days. These become manager games.
All right, Tom, before we let you go, I got 2 questions for you. One, do we go back to LA? Do you go back to LA? Because I'm not going anywhere. So are you going back to LA for the finish?
Yeah, I think so. I thought going in this was a 7-game series. Didn't think, the Dodgers would really look this good in the first 2 games. But yes, I think the Yankees will find a way to win 2 out of 3 in New York. Okay,
and my last thing before we let you go is, what's the suit tonight? Like what kind of plaid, with the perfect pocket square and the perfect V-shaped tie do we have planned for the next 3 nights?
Yeah, you always got to be careful in the postseason because you don't want to wear the colors of the teams that are playing. So thankfully, there's basically blue and blue. So you can't be, accused of being partisan here. So it'll be something blue. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Then everyone will be like, wow, Tom loves our team. Tom
Yes,
loves my
Tom
team
loves
too.
both teams. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we did a segment on that once. It's true. I mean, especially when you're on the road for a while, Tom knows. Yeah, you got to make sure you've got your
Times,
soup
guys,
game.
there's been times where I forgot about it and say you're doing the
Mhm.
Phillies and you got a red tie and you're like, oh my gosh, because right away that's what people are going to go to. Oh, he's a Phillies fan. I knew it all along. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like
By
the
the way,
tie is the giveaway.
By the way, if people that don't know this, Tom is a workout animal. By the way,
Mhm.
like he goes out and runs like a marathon before every game, and then he'll be in the gym working out for like 2 hours. So and then he eats like only salad. Like it's unbelievable. Like when I'm around Tom Verducci, I'm like, man, I'm a less of a human being right now because the way he dresses, the way he works out, and the way he eats, I'm just like. And then he puts these notes out there. I'm like, man, I need to clean up my
It's
life.
the way I aspire to be, for my whole life. It's funny. I swear, I know Tom's got to jump, but I was talking to my dad about it the other day, and I was like, I used to work with Tom a lot at MLB. Tom knows. Dan O'Dowd's like this too. I mean, they do it right. You eat right, you work out every day, the whole deal, and you feel good. So Tom's like, yep, I'll take it.
No, I will.
It's good
I
though.
just got to say,
Yeah.
there are certain World Series that, stand out to me. And this is one I really feel privileged to cover. I really do. And, I was talking to Mookie Betts on the field after they won the NLCS about 43 years since the Dodgers played the Yankees in the World Series. And I'm thinking Mookie really has no idea what this rivalry is like. I'm old enough to remember the 70s and the 81 series and stuff. And I always thought it'd be cool to cover one of these things because of how big it is historically in baseball. So, whether you're young, whether you're old, I think people should really appreciate. We're lucky to have this World Series, and that's why, getting back to what you're asking, AJ, I really root for long series anyway, but especially this one because unless it goes 6, you can't really have a great series historically, and we have everything in place to have a great series. We just need the length now, and that's people say, "What are you rooting for?" I'm rooting for Game 7.
Yeah,
We
same.
all are.
A couple
And
things.
by the way,
though,
also I want to
Yeah.
add to what Tom's saying though.
Yeah.
Like when people on like social media are like, "Oh, this series is going to suck because it's big markets." No, this is what we want. The ratings have been through the roof because they're two unbelievable teams.
Yes.
You got the two biggest stars of the game, right? Judge and Ohtani going against each other. I mean, I know they're not literally going, but you know what I mean. They're in these series, and you're throwing Soto, throwing Betts, you're throwing Freeman, you're throwing the pitchers from Yamamoto, Garrett Cole. Right? Like
And they've
this
been
is
good games.
this is what you want as a
Correct.
baseball fan. This is what I want to see: the two best teams from the regular season going head to head in the World Series. And guess what we got? This. And now everyone's complaining. Oh, we want the underdog. Screw that! I want the two best teams to play and see who wins.
Yes, and we've gone over it, especially when it's not a case of these two teams meeting up all the time. Like
No.
Tom said, the rarity of it, appreciate it. I'm doing it for sure, and I hope that it goes the distance. But we'll see what happens. I mean, if they lose tonight, the Yanks, then usually we see sweeps after that point. So Tom, enjoy it. Yeah, like you're saying, soak it all in. We'll watch you on Fox, and also just wanted to give a quick plug. The Book of Joe with Joe Madden and Tom Verducci. Check out the podcast. They did a really good World Series preview. We've had Joe on recently. So, Tom, thank you so much. Enjoy it.
Yeah, keep up the great work, guys. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.